You know what time it is. It's time for the Sports Lounge. And yeah, it's Tuesday. Little bit after 7 o'clock. Not too bad, not too bad. But we're here. We're here to get this thing cracking. I am super excited about today and what everything that we're going to talk about. I'm what the heck happened? Um,
I don't know.
but yeah, so today we're gonna talk about a lot of good things. I'm super excited about that. Actually, I've been on TikToks today, a bunch of TikToks, a bunch of other stuff, and I'm excited about that as well. So let's get into it, guys. Let's start with our sponsors. Mark, hit us with our sponsors real quick so we could dive right
Yes.
in.
First and foremost, we have number one sports fan located right here in Tulare, Visalia, and Hanford. Secondly, we have Cali Built Graphics. They need any of your shirts or hats, anything like that, they can take care of you. Take care of those. Get your orders in now because guess what? Christmas time is here, and Rigo is definitely super busy. Um, Thirdly, we've got Brian Martino Construction. You need any estimates or anything like that, hit up Brian at martinoconstruction.com or give him a call. And he'll get everything taken here. Just all three of those just mentioned the Sports Lounge sent you, and we appreciate y'all. And lastly, but not the most important, obviously, we are the Sports Lounge, and we are powered by Mikey.
The Mogul brand.
Yeah. So hey, we're gonna hop right into tonight's show, man. It's obviously we're gonna be talking about the NFL still a little bit more. We definitely have had an interesting week this week when it comes to the NFL. And what do you guys think, man? What do you think about the games that we had going on this week?
Yeah, Dupree, what game stuck out to you the most? Which game this week stuck out to you the most, man?
Well, the one was our, and it kind of showed that we that did lose, so that we are in a better, even in defense and our offense. We looked a lot better than we did last year. We did even by a touchdown. We still showed a great game.
Okay. Yeah, watching the highlights on that one, that was actually a pretty good game. For me, in honesty, it was probably that Browns and Steelers game. The Snow Bowl, that thing was crazy. You sit there and clear as bell, then all of a sudden, once they got to the second half, all of a sudden it's like, what the heck happened to the field? It just became fully white. But actually, Browns pulled out a big win on that one over the Steelers, which is a good thing for Browns fans, I guess. Not a good thing for the Steelers fans. But that's one of the things that is going to be interesting. So that was the one that actually stood out to me. And honestly, there was actually two that stood out to me. The other one was the Niners and Packers game. That one was I know there were a lot of injuries for San Francisco. But for the fact being that Josh Jacobs flat out, he ran for 3 touchdowns and they just beat the living tar out of the Niners defense, which is not really suspected. So, but no, hey, what game stood out to you, Mikey?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Cardinals and the Seahawks game, man. There's a lot of complications in that game, taking division and trying to see what Arizona is gonna do about that. But Seahawks went in there, they won 16-6. It wasn't pretty, but they got the job done. It looks like they're on their way to winning the West. Yeah, there's a lot of football left, but I still got them to beat the West. Another shocking is the Texans went down again against the to the Titans, 32-27. and I thought that was like really interesting as well. In overtime, not in overtime, but the fact that the Texans got beat again. It's kind of showing, last year probably was a strong year for the Texans, but people are trying to figure out their schemes and how they play. So that game was interesting to me because the Texans are better than that. They came into the season looking like a real threat, but now it's just so unpredictable. I don't even know what to think about that.
Yeah, no. What do you guys think on the big thing that with what do you think about the whole thing with the what is it? I'm having a brain fart, guys. Sorry.
What is it? Come on.
The Lions, Vikings, and Packers. That NFC North.
That's gonna be interesting, man. I actually was on when I was talking about I was on several different TikToks and podcasts today. That was the focal point of today. There was two big points. One was the Lions, Lions versus the Eagles was a topic, and the other one was the Eagles versus I forget. I'm losing thought right now. But chat's going crazy. But anyways, the Eagles and the Lions was a lineup, and also the Eagles versus the Ravens. That's who they got this week. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But the other thing was, the fact that the Lions, that they're a better team, right? And so, that was pretty much the argument for today. The funny part about this whole ordeal is the fact that the focal point of about all this is that the fact that the North is so stacked, and knowing that it's crazy that the Seahawks is 6-5, right? And you got a Packer team who's 8-3, and you also have chat's going crazy. The other thing is the fact that that the Lions, only have one loss. Here's the thing. I'm gonna stay focused now. I'm not even gonna look at the chat. I'm gonna stay focused.
Chat is going nuts.
Yeah, it's funny as hell. All right, so the Lions still have a long journey. Okay, so they haven't played extremely well on Thanksgiving, as we all know.
Right.
They play against the Bears. Now, regardless on what we think about the Bears are playing better ball. They lost in overtime against the Vikings, but they have them twice still. At the end of the year, they have the Vikings. They still got to play the 49ers. They still got to play the Bills. They still have to play. Who do the Lions
Bills,
play?
Packers, Bears, Niners, Vikings. Vikings last one in January 5th.
Yeah. And that could determine a lot. If they get a loss in there, the Vikings can be right up in there. If they get a couple of losses, the Packers, Lions, and Vikings can be up in there. So it's just going to come down to, you watching the Lions struggle against the Colts, and them having now 3 injuries. Montgomery went out, and 2 other players went out in that game. That was kind of crazy, but yeah, man, like it's going to come down to that gauntlet. Can they beat the Bills? Can they beat Green Bay Packers? Green Bay Packers are starting to get hot. We're starting to see a hot Green Bay Packer team. Can they beat the Vikings at the end of the season? That's 3 games right there. Can they beat the Bears twice? You don't know. The Bears might get lucky one time, and it could be Thanksgiving, right? On a short week. Lions did play this Sunday, then they got to play Thursday. So and it's gonna be crazy, man. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be interesting. Here's a good question right here. Finally, a good question by Raw Content. Raw Content says, let's see here.
Why didn't
why didn't Sa-
Saquon? Why didn't Saquon do this on the Giants? Was the O line really that big of a difference? I'm gonna
I'll
say
take
this.
this. Oh,
Yeah, you want to say? I'm gonna say I'll take it since I'm not an Eagle fan.
okay, go ahead.
I'm gonna say this. It's not about the offensive line when it comes to what the Eagles have. The biggest problem is the Giants did not have an offensive line. The Giants have not had an offensive line realistically since they made the playoffs last one, which was with Eli Manning. So, in my personal opinion, that's where I'm just like, no, they need to do something. Obviously, we know that the Giants now have nothing whatsoever. But when you give a guy like Saquon, it's not just about having that line. There's also receivers to throw to. There's a tight end to throw to, so they can spread the ball more. And so that is why Saquon has been
You got
so
a quarterback
effective.
that can run the ball.
Exactly. You don't know what's going to happen when you got Mike just said you got Jalen Hurts who can run the ball. Saquon, obviously, we know he can run, but
for sure.
Between AJ Brown, probably, I would say probably the top 3 receiver in the league. The big factor that they have had that is Devontae Smith has not been completely healthy this year. They've played games without AJ Brown. They've missed, Devontae is now on his 4th game of missing. So that's going to be, the big thing. Where can they have what they need when it comes to what we can do on the offensive side of the ball? So that's my personal opinion. So Saquon, he's just that good. But now he has people that are taking the focus away from him. And so you don't know what you're going to do.
I will say that the offensive line does make a huge difference in this. He's had a trash offensive line with the Giants, and the schemes weren't to his liking. Obviously, the Eagles' offensive line is way better, and they get down the field, which is for those blocks. You've seen it in the Rams game just previously, and how he broke the 255 yards. So the offensive line does make a huge difference. I mean, you guys. The biggest takeaway here is we could talk about Mailata and Lane Johnson, but that big old Beckham number 77, I was watching replays. They call him Highway 77. That dude is crazy good. And then, we were talking about earlier before this chat today, Cam Jurgens is finding his own, finally finding, I don't think anybody can fill Jason Kelsey's position as good as Kelsey did, but he's finding his own. He doesn't have to do that much. I mean, and that line is opening up gaps and places where Saquon can just be himself. And he's having I think this time it's not him carrying the team anymore, which is allowing him just to be a kid again and play football. And I think that that's important as well. I'm going to run through some of these real quick because I think some of these are pretty cool. I'm going to run through them really, really fast. This one says Lions number 1. I hate to say it as a Vikings fan. Okay, as a Vikings fan, you should just hold on, buckle up, because it's a long season still, and you still got a shot. Okay, we just talked about it just earlier. I think the Lions are not. I mean, I don't think that the Vikings are completely out of it, and we still got to see more from the Lions. The Lions do have some key injuries that is going to be interesting to that. So let's wait and see how the year plays out. Here's another one. By Sparks that says, I think the Eagles are going to the chip this year. Possibly. I don't want to jinx it. They looking good. They look good on paper. They look like we're going to do. Let's see how they play against the Ravens. Let's see how they play against Pittsburgh. And then we'll get more of what that's going to look like in a playoff sense, because I think it's pretty much a winnable. They got us, and actually it's crazy is that they have us favored in every game but the Ravens game in Baltimore
Mhm.
by big margins, which is interesting to me. But us being an 8-2 team and then being a 7-4 team or 8-4 team or whatever it is. So
Yeah,
that's going to be interesting. I think this one is to Dice Williams just for a laugh. They said, John Jones, can I have your autograph? So I think that was to you, my dude.
right.
Let's keep it going though. Let's see here. Let's keep it
So Elite
going.
Monster. So Elite Monster asks, would it be different for the Eagles defense without Brandon Graham, or not? So losing Brandon Graham is probably one of the bigger losses that they could have on the defensive side of the ball, because that's not just a that's just not a defensive player. That's the leader of the. Honestly, me personally, I think Brandon Graham is probably the heartbeat of that defense. You know, just the way he plays. He plays loose. He plays. He plays like a kid. In all honesty, he's having fun out there, and so I don't think he's going to be gone for the season. They're saying that we were actually just talking about this yesterday. So they're saying that he has a possibility of coming back probably like in the second round. So if the Eagles get that first round bye, hey, that's more power to him, a lot more time to heal. So I think that's a good thing. If that's a possibility.
Here's another thing about Brandon Graham, and I think you hit it on the head. Is one of the things that I was talking about earlier in a different podcast too, is that it's not just Brandon Graham being the heartbeat of the team and also being a vocal leader. It's the fact that his ability to teach people, not by just saying it, but also doing it. Hey, do you remember that stunt that I did when I went around the corner? I slapped and I went in and I tackled him. Let me show you how to do that on this play. You see when I did that? I want you to go do that now in rotation, right? So because everybody's rotating on that defensive line. And so that was the other piece. It's not just him saying it, but him doing it. One piece that you're not losing, though, is Brandon Graham. He is getting surgery. He's going to be doing his rehab, and then he'll be back on the field, not playing, but on the sidelines. He's still going to be very vocal. He's going to be himself. He's going to move the locker room. Still going to be in defensive meetings. He's still going to be teaching and all that. It's just he's not going to be able to show that. So his presence, the fact that his presence is still there, I think is not as big of a loss. But the fact that he is gone is a little bit of a loss, if that makes sense. I think just him not being on the field is going to be a little bit where we got to fill those gaps. But vocally and him being there, he's going to be there. And like Mark said, let us get that first round bye, and we'll see him in the second round, divisional rounds. But we'll keep it going. We'll keep it going, man. Let's see here. Do you think Daniel Jones was the problem with the coaching staff? No, I think it starts from the owner all the way down. Dable did make the playoffs. He did. I don't know if you guys remember that, but they did make the playoff once. So I think that I don't know if it's a coaching thing. I don't know so much as more of you could see on Hard Knocks, the GM giving up Saquon Barkley, Daniel Jones leaving, being released. He actually asked to be released. A lot of people don't know that. But it's that GM. GM needs to get fired. You need to hire a better staff up there and then start moving it all the way down. Use your draft picks, do what you got to do, and go from there. Thoughts on that, anybody?
No, you hit the nail on the coffin on that. I think Daniel just didn't want to doing with them.
You mean what they weren't doing with them? Well, here's the thing. When it comes to that, when it comes to that roster, I mean, let's be honest. You've got at running back, you got Devin Singletary and Eric Gray. At wide receiver, they just went and drafted Malik Neighbors at number 1 with their first round pick. They do have, and yes, I am biased, but they also had a great wide receiver with Jalen Hyatt. Guess what? They have not utilized Jalen Hyatt whatsoever. He has 5 receptions all season. You know, they've only targeted him 7 times. So, I'm sorry, 12. 12. So, 12 targets for a guy that was literally, he was actually the top wide receiver out of college football 2 years ago. So that tells you it's not just about, it's not that they don't have a receiving core. You got 2 great receivers. You got horrible coordinators. You got a quarterback that couldn't throw.
Right.
Do I think Daniel Jones is the problem? I think it's a combination. I think you nailed it dead on the head between the owners, the GM. I mean, the GM actually talked to Nick Saban, and Saban told him flat out, look, the 2 guys that gave us nothing but fits, Malik Neighbors, Brock Bowers. They gave them fits. And they did choose Malik Neighbors, which do I think is a good pick? They were trying to make something. Let's be honest. They were trying to make something out of nothing when they wasted that money on that pick for the contract of Daniel Jones. I think that was their biggest mistake. I'm just like, dude, he's not.
But I also think if you put a Dan Campbell, put Daniel Jones around a Dan Campbell or a Harbaugh or who else is a really good coach for developing quarterbacks? I mean, if you just get a solid coach to develop him, I don't think Daniel Jones even really had a coach to develop him. Honestly, I think that he could have.
David was a defensive coach.
Yeah, so I think if he could get around like next year or maybe on this offseason, get around somebody or be behind somebody and actually develop, I think Daniel Jones can actually be a decent quarterback. Is he going to be a Hall of Famer? Probably not. But he can win you some games, maybe even take you to the playoffs because he did it once with Saquon, right?
Yeah.
But let's carry on. Let's go back to this one real quick. Is the 49ers season's over with that loss? Absolutely. Their season's been over since CMC got injured, and CMC hasn't looked the same.
I'm going to disagree. I'm going to disagree with that. And I'm going to disagree because nobody wants to win in the NFC West. Nobody wants to win.
Did you see the list of all the people that are gone?
I don't care.
How are they going to win without them?
You have all those gone. Hey, my answer is this. You have all those gone and you're 1 game back.
2 games now.
No, they're 1 game behind. Seahawks and Cardinals are 6-5. The Rams and the Niners are 5-6. They are 1 game behind.
They play against but they play against the Bills, the Bears, the Rams, the Dolphins, the Lions, the Cardinals. They're not making it, bro. Their season's over.
Yeah, they're going to take the L against the They're going to take the L against the Bills. They'll beat the Bears. I think they can beat the Rams.
See, I don't think so. I don't think against the Rams.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. You got one.
I don't think they're going to go to Miami and beat the Dolphins. They're not going to beat the Lions, and it's going to be a tough game at the end of the season against the Cardinals.
Again, so when they lost to the Rams this year, they lost by 3 points. When they lost to the Cardinals,
but they also didn't. They didn't have Cup. They didn't have Cup in that game either.
They didn't have C-Mac. It's the same argument.
They have C-Mac now, though, and they're not winning games.
They barely got him back. And you got a guy who's been out for 8 weeks. So, to me, I'm not going to say the season is done. Do I like the Niners? Heck no, I can't stand that team. I'm better off seeing them outgone, trust me. But, I mean, let's be honest. The injuries is what's killed them. The injuries is what's killed the NFL. But to me, I mean, let's be honest. It just they still have a chance. Now, are they going to go far? I mean, Bosa's questionable. A lot of those guys are questionable, so they're expected to return this week. The only main ones that they lost. Obviously you lost Brenda. You lost Hufanga. That's a big one. Greenlaw, him being out now for the season. Actually, they're saying Greenlaw can possibly come back because he's been out the entire time with his Achilles.
Yeah,
so they might get
Hargrave, you got Ward, you got Hufanga. I mean, you got a list, bro.
No, there's a list there.
Ayuk is gone. Ayuk is gone for the season. Brock Purdy probably will be back. Trent Williams, which everybody knows, when they are even at their full power and you didn't have Trent Williams, you're losing that game.
Yeah.
So,
no, I think there's still
it's crazy. I don't think so.
I mean, the chances like that much?
It's thin. It's freaking thin.
It's
not impossible. There's crazier things have happened in football. But in this case, I don't personally see it. I think that it's more of a Rams and Seahawk chase at this point.
Yeah.
The slight chance to see maybe an 8-8. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very thin. Sparks, we're going to get to – so you have a question up there that it's talking about college. We're going to hold off, and we're going to answer this question real quick from Elite Monsters. So when Brandon Graham retires from the Eagles next season, will Howie Roseman pick up Micah Parsons from the Cowboys and finalize his contract since Saquon and Micah know each other? Micah Parsons actually picked Penn State because of Saquon Barkley
and his tour.
Now,
he's the one that gave him the tour, and exactly. their families actually do holidays together.
Okay. Now let me say this. If there's some way that they can restructure, because he's got that 5th-year option, which is a massive, massive hit against the salary cap for Dallas, they've got to figure out if they sign him on that cap, they have I think it was something like $14 million for, I think it was they were going to have 34 players, so they were going to need 19 more players with $14 million. That's not even going to make the league minimum. So they're going to have to figure out some way to restructure his contract if they want to sign him long term. I don't see Dallas being able to do that. So if Dallas is smart, if they can't come up, they need to figure out how to trade him away. So this way they can get something. Now, if Jerry Jones is smart, you do everything you can to make sure he does not go to Philadelphia.
Right. Definitely.
Because the option is on Dallas. He doesn't get to sit there and say, oh, it's not a player option. It's a team option. So that's where Jerry Jones has to make that decision on what he can do with him. If he can't work out a deal, so, obviously trade deadline is passed. So we're going to see something at the offseason. Do I think that it would be smart for Philadelphia to pick up Micah Parsons? I will hate to see that defense. But now let me say this, you guys.
Mike talked about that last pod. If they pick them up, it's over, everybody. Next year.
Well, let me say this. Here's what everyone has to remember. He is a Pennsylvania kid. Don't forget about the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, there ain't no difference. It's not like you're playing outside in the cold, whether you're playing in Pittsburgh or you're playing in Philadelphia. It ain't going to matter. He's used to it when he was at Penn State. Imagine having to be teamed up on the other side of the ball as TJ Watt. And they have the cap money. Because why would you want to take a franchise-style defensive player and trade him to a division rival? You don't do it. You just don't. So that's my personal opinion. So do I think it would be smart? 100%. Would it be cool to see? Oh, yeah. But, don't put it out there that, I think Jerry's going to do everything he could to not let him go to Philadelphia.
And then you're gonna end up you're gonna see him end up in the jersey with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, probably.
I wouldn't doubt it unless he
Want to
goes
go
to
to
the Steelers.
Shador?
Money that you just
Ain't
said
going
earlier.
to
Yeah.
the
So
Steelers, going
what
to the
what
Eagles.
team do we think Shador is going to go to in 2025?
I think the Raiders.
I don't.
It's either the
I don't.
Giants or the Raiders.
Nope.
Are NBA because they have no quarterback there at all.
But they're looking to pick up Justin Fields as well.
If they want to use
See, I pay attention to this stuff a lot closer when it comes to college, especially when it comes to the draft.
Right.
Or we're going to talk
This
about
is what-
another trade up.
We're going to talk about a trade up.
I knew it. It's not going to happen, bro.
Why not get rid of freaking Dak Prescott?
They're not going to.
You talk. You're a businessman, Mikey. You're a businessman. Draft Travis Hunter.
I get it. I get it. I get the business scheme, but it's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. We'll hear you out. Well, let's hear you out. Okay,
hear me out. Hear me out on this.
Okay. Let's hear you out.
So
real quick.
Colorado just signed a 5-star recruit quarterback. So, which is a great thing, obviously, for Colorado, especially with Shador leaving. Now, here's the thing. They're going to end up with one of the top picks. Find a way to get Travis Hunter up there, right? Take Travis Hunter. Here's the other thing. Trade Dak Prescott away so this way you can sign Deion Sanders as your head coach and draft Shador. Because Deion's already said he's going to do everything he could to make sure he is putting his kids in a place where they can thrive and they can, and they can grow. As long as they don't hire an agent, they do not have to sign. That's what people have to realize. That's the key factor. They don't need an agent if they have a guy like Deion Sanders.
Sure.
He's been the voice for the entire time. So I'm just saying, don't think you're not going to see something crazy. Get rid of that massive contract, because guess what? You get rid of that contract, you're going to have to eat a little bit of it with Dak, just a little. You now have the money to re-sign Micah, give up Dak along with another first rounder, to move up high enough to take Shador. You sign Deion Sanders as your head coach. You get to re-sign Micah Parsons to an extension. It's a lot. It's playing chess is what it is. But if you play the moves right, Jerry Jones can play the moves right and be like, yo, send Dak to the Giants. They have the salary cap. They need a quarterback because Tommy DeVito is not the guy, and neither is Boyle. He's that bad. I don't even know his last name. That's how bad he is. So get rid of Dak. I mean, yeah, Dak will play with the revenge, a chip on his shoulder every time he plays against Dallas if that were to happen. But you got a guy who's old. He can't win in the playoffs. Do some chess moves, man. Play chess. Stop. Jerry needs to stop playing freaking checkers.
Well, I mean, that was going to be my point. I'm going to tell you is like, when's the last time he played chess? In the 90s? Like, come on, bro. Let's be real. He hasn't.
He's not really going to draft anybody.
He didn't do nothing in the offs. He did nothing in the draft. Did nothing in the free agency. Did no trades by the trade deadline. He did nothing for that team this year.
Because he's sacrificing his pawns for the bigger picture. You got to lose. You got to lose. I'm not accusing anyone, but I'm just saying you got to lose to get a high draft pick, right?
True.
Yeah, but why sign Dak for so much if you're looking to tank? Why sign CeeDee Lamb so much money if you're looking to tank?
Because you have a great receiver in CeeDee Lamb. You get Dak on a long-term contract and you use it as a big piece because now he is a long-term contract guy now. He's like he can be a star quarterback somewhere else.
We'll see if it plays out that way. So what I do know, and I pay attention to is on X, which is Twitter. Shador, every time that the Raiders lose, he says thank God. He says thank God in every single, if you line up the date to date, and it's looking like he wants to be in Las Vegas. And I mean, there's another coaching possibility as well, you know, for Deion Sanders, and we can't rule that out. And they're tanking. So, and then Vegas is a place to where everybody wants to be, really, essentially outside of football. So it's very attractive, just like New York and, California teams, things like that. Florida teams, closer to the beaches, closer to the lime life, which they're used to. Vegas is right up there, sports capital of the world. So it'll be interesting to see. We'll see what happens. But we got this one. This new Redskin rebuild is fun to watch. Thoughts? Yeah, we talked about it before. Very fun to watch. The Commanders. Do you think Tua should choose to stop playing, or do you think Tua continues with the CTE? We talked about this as well too. Player choice, right? Versus player choice versus what was it? Team choice.
Player choice versus it's like if he's cleared. So here and now, I don't want to go into the spiel, but I can go into the spiel and make it long story short. Long story short is this. I think Tua was crazy to come back because of many concussions as he's had. And I think because he was medically cleared, he had, it's now become about the money. He's like, I got to figure something out. Tua has done a great job of protecting himself. If you watch his games, he's not doing stupid crap that he was doing. So he is being smarter about it. But I think, me personally, he needs to retire sooner than later. I'll say that. And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
So if he has for the game, he needs to worry about his head more than anything else.
If I seen him, and I don't want to get into this, I don't want to really get into this subject too much, but if he did come back, I would have loved it. He said that he got like a different type of helmet, but I would love to see him in a Guardian cap. I don't know what you guys feel about the Guardian cap, but if he chooses to be back on the field, I would have loved to see him with the Guardian cap. At least that makes me feel just a little bit more comfortable. But at the end of the day, I think he should have retired because he does have a family. It's bigger than football at this point, and I think that that's my take on that. You guys,
what's that Vicus or the Vicus or something like that helmet?
Yeah, it's just a new helmet that they make now for extra protection. Going into question number 2, Eagles at Ravens. Is this the biggest test for the Eagles? If not, who is the biggest test before the playoffs?
On this one, it's probably going to be their biggest test that they have on the season. When it comes to this lineup, I mean, they really don't have much of a challenge when it comes to rest of the season. They kind of got, they're basically done with that tough schedule that they were, had to go through, just like everyone always has to go through it. I mean, because you finish off the season, like I said, you've got Carolina, Pittsburgh, Washington, Dallas, Giants. I mean, let's be honest, you got Baltimore and you got Pittsburgh. That's it.
Yeah. That's it, really, yeah.
I mean,
everybody else is about 70%. Everybody else is about 70%, anywhere from like 60 to 70% winning percentage now. It's a really high winning percentage. This is the only game, the only game that we have that we're not favored for whatever reason.
Well, they're not favored because they're on the road. The spread's only -3.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So with the spread being -3, as person who wastes money in Vegas also, I feel you on that one, Sparks. Trust me, they took a lot of money from me too. But with them being -3, only reason they got that Baltimore gets that -3 because it's home field advantage. Other than that, they're saying it's dead even. So,
yeah. How do you guys see that game played out? Who do you got? Who do you got winning that game, Dupree?
I still got the Eagles win that game because it's all going to come down to who are touchdowns, and I feel that the Eagles have the better offense when it comes down to that part of it. Defensively, the Ravens are there, but you guys have more schemes when it comes down to the defense for it.
Who do you got winning the game, Mark?
I think it's going to be tough. I think it's going to be close. In all honesty, I think it's going to go down to really who has the ball last.
Interesting.
We saw a team with Baltimore with what they played, what they did this last weekend, or just last night. You didn't see a big game from, King Henry. You didn't.
Oh, right.
He had a $140 on 24 carries. But the thing that Lamar was finding, he was spreading the ball out evenly. Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, Rashad Bateman. He had Tylan Wallace, Justice Hill, Charlie Kohler. I mean, literally, the Kohler catch and the Justice Hill, nothing real big. The Tyler Wallace, he did have one catch for 15 yards, which was a big catch. But you had that 40-yard touchdown to Bateman. Zay Flowers, yeah, he had not a lot of big plays, but they were balanced when it comes to how they played the game. It was close to a 50-50, between pass and run.
Yeah.
So to me, and it leaned a little heavy towards the rush. Realistically, I would prefer dead on 50-50. But I don't know. It's the key factor is going to be who's going to step in, even though, yes, back to our conversation earlier about Brandon Graham, who is going to step in as that voice on the field. You can have the voice on the sideline, but sometimes it takes that voice on the field. So that's why I think personally it's going to go down to who has the ball last. That's my personal opinion. The other thing, obviously, is Devontae Smith going to be playing also? Are we going to see him come back?
Yeah, he's back.
So, I like I said, I'm going to go.
There's no injuries.
I'm going with it's going to be who has the ball last. So I really, it's one of those games that it's such a toss up.
Yeah, who's better, the Eagles or the Chiefs right now?
Eagles.
Who's better right now, the Eagles or the Raiders?
Well, that's a stupid question.
Are we really asking that?
Yeah, I'm really asking it.
It's obviously the Eagles.
Who's better, the Eagles or the Browns?
So he's getting to a point on this is he's using the Ravens' losses.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I know what you're doing.
Okay, so
but
who's
again,
better, Eagles
now,
or Browns?
Let's go ahead and
answer my question. I let you cook. Let me cook. Let me cook.
All right. So who's better between the Eagles and Browns? Eagles.
Okay.
What defense is going? But here's the question: what defense is going to show up for Cleveland? That's the same thing with Baltimore. You don't know what defense is going to show up.
Well, when they let Patrick Queen go, I know they have Humphreys. They got a couple of playmakers there. Their secondary is suspect, as we have seen in those games that I have mentioned. Right? Their offensive line versus our offensive line. I mean, that's going to be crazy. So I think that we will have more rushing yards than they would have more rushing yards. I think Devontae, we're waiting for Schmitty to have a big game, and I think this is where he has a big game. The Zay Flowers is going to be locked up with Mitchell. I told you before the biggest test for us was the fact that you have a veteran Matt Stafford versus a Puka Nacua and a Cooper Kupp, and we seen what happened in that game, right? So you're gonna have a Zay Flowers that's locked up, and you did mention some key names. He's gonna have to spread that ball evenly with and trying to use everybody else. One thing that you have seen is a Cooper DeJean come into this role as a nickel player, shutting down the bubble screen, shutting down the flats, and also taking some guys one-on-one. Now, over the top,
I want to see Cooper. Hey, I'm going to say this. I want to see Cooper DeJean try and take on King Henry. Good luck.
CJ Garner Johnson will. That dude's a monster. Zach Bond.
Not right in the head.
Hey, I know he's not, and that's okay. I like that. It's the same thing with Brian. It's the same thing with Brian Dawkins. Same thing with Ray Lewis. To say all them dudes, I love them all. Why? Because they're not right up there. They're like, I'm gonna smack you. I don't care if I get injured. You're not gonna play either. Like we both will knock out. Like I don't care. The other one, Zach Bond. You talked about Zach Bond highly before.
Zach,
Okay,
Zach Bond is a beast.
Still a beast. We're still not talking about the defensive line. Jalen Carter is being doubled and triple teamed, which is adding Milton Williams and all these other cats to be one-on-one to get to the quarterback. But not only that, to get to the runner first. So it's about levels in this thing. Like you mentioned last year when we're talking about rushing with McCaffrey, if you could get to the second level, this guy, that's the difference. Saquon's going to have an opportunity to get to the second level before he even gets touched. I think Henry gets hit a couple of times before. Now he's a tough boy. He can handle it, but I'm saying he's not going to break him. He's not going to break him. And if these other defenses can bring him down, and a Charger defense, as our boy down there, like team has played, that they just played, they didn't have really that much force, and they kept him down. Now, again, I think the defenses, I think we have a better defense than they do. I think we have a better rotation than they do for sure. And the fact that everybody is back and healthy is going to help out a lot. It's going to require Lamar to do more than what he's capable of. And I wouldn't be shocked if he threw multiple picks in this game and this game gets turned around because he's trying to do too much, because he sees the force of what is happening with these stunts that the Eagles are now putting him in a position of. Now, have we seen a mobile quarterback? Absolutely. We've seen Jaden Daniels before. We've seen teams already with mobile quarterbacks, and we actually shut down Scary Terry. Scary Terry, he had 0 receptions for 0 yards against Quinyon Mitchell. So I mean, it's gonna come down to that, man. I think it's gonna come down to, is the Eagles gonna be able to dominate a legitimate team when their number is called? And I think the only way we lose is if we beat ourselves. We end up, something happens with forced fumbles, something happens with picks, something happens where it's not characteristic of us and we didn't play a complete game. But even when we did see that before, everybody knows Eagles play second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. We're just going to leave it at that, though. For me, I think that the Eagles win easy. And I know that's going to be crazy to say, but I'm going to say that they win easy. I think that they'll have a harder game against the Pittsburgh Steelers than they would against the Ravens because of the Steelers defense. And it's not so much offensive heavy, right? It's going to be a defensive battle in that game. And that's the game where I believe that it might come down to the last, who has the ball last. But that's my take on that. Dupree, we have any thoughts about that, or Mark?
But it's going to be one of those harder. It's going to be one of those harder games, though. It being a really easy one for you guys, though.
Easy one. Let's go.
So TJ Hawkinson hasn't looked the same since being traded along with being injured. So TJ Hawkinson has only been playing in 4 games this season. He is battling. Obviously, he's come off of IR because of major injuries. He's not getting targeted a lot. Sam Darnold has not done his job. People have figured out what Sam Darnold is. I have, Mikey had high hopes for Sam Darnold when he was when he was the backup over in San Francisco. Said, he's better than Purdy.
I think he still is in the system. We're talking about the system quarterback
in the
right?
system. Now, I think the problem that Minnesota has. I don't think the problem has been, honestly, TJ Hawkinson. I think the problem has been Aaron Jones has not played up to his ability, at running back. And so, therefore, with just coming back from major injury, statistically, when you look at Aaron Jones, he's only got 798 yards. He's only got 3 touchdowns. I mean, he's barely averaging 72 yards a game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and then the other, of course, you got his backup, which is Ty Chandler. Ty Chandler's only got 169. I mean, they only got 1,288 yards rushing as a team. As a team, so in a lot of those rush yards actually came towards the beginning of the season for Aaron Jones. Do I like Aaron Jones? I always have. Former Packer, great. He's a good running back, good leader. But I think in this year, offensive line is not as good as it used to be in Minnesota. I think they are trying to use him trying to switch him over to a receiving back, which is what they did a lot in Green Bay. That's who he was. And obviously they've tried doing that. He's 32 catches. That ain't bad for a running back. Just saying. But the big thing is, like I said, when you've got a guy that has not been playing all season long, coming back from injury, he missed the last game of last year, plus the first 8 or 10 or something like whatever it is. So I think TJ is going to be fine, in my personal opinion. I think that he's just got to get his feet back under him. You cannot, and the problem that Minnesota has had is they have to. If you want a guy like TJ to be in the game to do what he needs to do, he needs to. That score's got to be close to even, because if you have a blowout, guess what? You're going to see they're going to run out the clock. But if you're playing from behind, they're going to be throwing for the longer. Obviously lots of Jordan Addison, things like that. So you have to. It's like if it's a close game, I think you're going to see TJ going in there. The big thing is going to be the red zone, is where I think TJ is going to probably be his best place to go. I mean, so that's the biggest thing that honestly that I see with TJ Hawkinson. Next one, will Will Tyler from Penn State go to the Eagles in the draft because Dallas Goedert is going to retire in 2 years and they need a new tight end? Yes, they need a new tight end. Now, there's no telling, because if Philadelphia realistically ends up towards the bottom of the draft, I can see that happening, because Tyler Warren is not he's not a top 20 pick. He's a great tight end out of Penn State.
They say he plays 6 positions.
Yeah, but he's not he does. He's not the fastest. He would be used more as a blocking tight end, not a receiving tight end.
They say he's the best tight. They say he's the best tight end in college football.
Well, of course. I mean, there's really no tight ends in college football, and Penn State doesn't throw the ball deep. Penn State relies on the run and relies on the freaking short passes. So yeah, I can sit there and throw checks. I mean, Brock Purdy was the next big thing in San Francisco because he was the check down king.
Yeah.
So if all you're doing is throwing little check down passes, yeah, you're going to look like a great player. You're really not. So and the other thing is, who has Penn State even had a challenge? I've said it over and over again, guys. If you do not play in the SEC, you do not play a challenging schedule whatsoever. Not at all. So there is zero challenge. And that's why I'm like, if I'm drafting somebody, I'm finding out who is coming out of the SEC. That is all I care about. I would not look at any other team, because when it comes to college football, they've talked to King Henry. They've talked to a lot of defensive players, offensive players, and said, yeah, when it comes to college, the SEC is the closest that you can come to the NFL.
Yeah.
So I personally don't think I think it's a smart pick for him. I wouldn't trade up and try to take him. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
Because the one team that Penn State has played was Ohio State. Other than that, West Virginia, Bowling Green State University, Kent, Illinois, UCLA, USC, Wisconsin, Washington, Purdue, Minnesota, who they barely beat by 1 point. Now they play Maryland. So, no, they have had zero challenge whatsoever. So
yeah, I hear you. Dupree, you got this question?
All right, last one. Do you think Rodgers' career is over and the Jets' whole organization is over? what I think he is on his last leg. I don't know if he's over to another team and possibly do a little something. As far as the Jets go, I don't know what they're going to do. They haven't had it going in a long time, and this was supposed to be their big thing with getting him and Devontae Adams. Now they have Devontae Adams and Mike Williams, and now they still have right now, but they're going to end the. It's a matter of like, what are they going to do?
Mike Williams is gone.
Is he going to year? He's gone. Oh yeah, he went. He went. He went.
They traded him.
Yeah, they traded him, and now there's only Devontae
Adams. They have Wilson. They have Wilson and Lazar.
Which they haven't really used Lazar in them since Devontae got there. So it's like, what are they going to really do next year when it comes down to, like, will he retire? Maybe. But if he does, then who are they going to get for a quarterback?
Yeah.
So Aaron Rodgers, actually this morning on the McAfee show, they were talking, because obviously he's a regular. He's really good friends with AJ Hawk and Pat McAfee both. He said that he is unsure on the 2025 season, but if it's his choice, his first option is he would be playing for the Jets. I'm going to say this. I think the problem with Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers thinks he's the greatest quarterback of all time. Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback, but not of all time. When it comes to it, he's got one Super Bowl. He's made it twice, but he has one ring. He's held up that championship. Great statistical guy. Great statistics. I mean, you guys want, I can sit there and give my comparisons, and I know this is going to ruffle some feathers. When you think of a statistics guy, I think of LeBron James in the NBA.
Oh my God.
I got no problem saying it. LeBron James is a statistic guy. Aaron Rodgers is a stats guy. Same thing. Do I think he's the greatest? No, I don't. Do I think he's one of the top 5 quarterbacks of our time? The guy can throw a hell of a Hail Mary, that's for sure. He knows how to throw it in the right spot. But you got a great coach in Robert Saleh fired. The general manager, Joe Douglas, needs to be gone. You cannot sit there and try and turn over the Jets to Tyrod Taylor. So that's where it's like, what do we do? It's like, if I'm thinking about it, I'm like, what's I think Aaron what is Aaron Rodgers' contract? I don't even remember on that one. It was something stupid. I think he has an option for this next year, is what he has. Let's see, what is it? Yeah, so he has a $2.5 million base, a signing which is 7 because it was prorated 14. So he has a cap hit of $23 million, a dead cap of $49 million. So for numbers people, then y'all need to understand one thing: having a dead cap, if he retires, that's going to be a huge, huge cap hit for them. $49 million. So you better figure out and hope that he sticks around, because if he sticks around, he's only got a $23 million cap. Or figure out how to trade him. And hey, send him to Minnesota. Let him fall. Let him go ahead and continue the Brett Favre path. I mean, it'd be a great story.
All right.
Sure, if you're going to do it right. Let JJ McCarthy come back from injury. Let him learn from a great like I said, Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback. His career ended, honestly, the day he stepped foot with the New York Jets. Yeah. His career actually ended in 2022. Is when his career ended with the Green Bay Packers. I feel
like this was his last year.
Yeah, his last year in Green Bay, that's what kind of tossed him over the edge. But when you had, it's at the end of the day, I look at the same persona. is what I do. I really do look at the same persona when it comes to Aaron Rodgers and LeBron James. They're the ones that dictate everything. They dictated the coaching position. They dictate who they want on their team. That's what they do. And I'm not saying they're not great players. But at the end of the day, you want to win a dang Super Bowl, you want to win an NBA championship, you got to work as a team. And Aaron Rodgers is about what can I put in my pocket? And I'm all for it. Hey, if you know you're not going to win it, you're on the downside of your career. I mean, to win in the AFC, he's got to go through Josh Allen and Patty Mahomes. Mm-hmm. On the NFC side, he's got to go through Jalen Hurts. The Cowboys ain't nothing. I mean, in all honesty. So who else you got? I mean, he couldn't even figure out how to beat the freaking Niners. That was a problem.
Yeah.
So they didn't give him enough because guess what? When you keep signing for too much freaking money, you can't have players on your damn team and you can't win.
Right.
You keep trading. That's it.
Yeah. So that's
Well, guys, you know what time it is? It's finally about over. We're about done with this. And at the end, we love to do a little thing called Who is Your Top 5 in NFL? We're going to end the show on that note. Now, if you are with us right now, go ahead and put your top 5. Who's your number 1 in the NFL? Your number 2, your number 3, your number 4, your number 5. Be legitimate. Put that in the chat, and we'll read those off as we go, as we tell ours, what our top 5 and get those ready. But right now is the time that you put your top 5 in the chat right now. Tell me who is the top 5 that you got right there in the chat. And we're going to start actually with Dupree. And Dupree is going to make sure that he's not, making sure he's not putting WWE players in there. He's not, playing basketball teams in there. He's going to make sure that he's going to have a legit 5 right now. Here he goes. Hit it with it, Dupree. Who do you have at number 1 this week?
Is Stone Cold Steve? No, I had to play with you guys. It is the Lions, the Eagles, the Bills, the Ravens, and Steelers.
Okay, so you said the Lions, number 1.
Mm-hmm. The Eagles, the Bills, Ravens, and the Steelers. I kept the Ravens up there only because they did my Chargers. They still showed they know what it takes when the came spreading the ball around. It wasn't going. It went as well as it did, but we still was able to stop Derrick Henry a little bit, but just not enough to win the game.
Okay, let's go with we got Elite Monster Adventures. He has Eagles at number 1. He got the Lions at number 2. He got the Bills at number 3, and got the interesting 4 and 5. He got the Ravens at 4 and the Vikings at 5. So no KC up there, no Pittsburgh up there, no Green Bay Packers up there. He straight up said the Ravens, and he has the Vikings. Not a bad list, though. Not a bad list. Let's go with our next list by Spark. Number 1 is the Panthers. Number 2 is the Bucks. Number 3 is the Eagles. Number 4 is the Lions. Number 5 is the Lakers. Sparks, do it again. Do it again, Sparks. We're saying who is the best? Who is the best? 1 through 5. I mean, I love that you put the Lakers on there.
That looks like a Dupree list right there. That looks like a Dupree list.
Yeah, but you're going to have to show us one again. Show us one again. We got Raw Content, who is a regular. Shout out to Raw Content. He has the Lions at number 1, Philly at number 2, Chiefs at number 3, Buffalo at number 4, Vikings number 5. That's not a bad list. That's not a bad list. He has the Lions, Philly, the Chiefs, and Buffalo on there. I just don't know about that number 5 pick, man. But I like the list. It looks a little bit more fluent. Got all the teams that I think that I have on my list. Is just I think we have a different number 5.
What do you got,
I
Mikey?
think, let me double check. Okay, cool. So I got actually let me go with Detroit number 1. I'm gonna go Philly number 2. I'm gonna go Buffalo number 3. I got Chiefs number 4, and I got the Packers this week at the number 5 spot.
Interesting choice.
All right. I've actually got. I mean, that's tough. That's tough. So
I know I could go either way. I didn't want to be a homer. I didn't want to be biased. I could put Philly at number 1. I mean, the way that we destroyed the Rams and, the Saquon getting 255 yards rushing, beating his single season record and beating LaShawn McCoy. I mean, I could have talked about how good that A.J. Brown played and the offensive line, defense. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but I'm not going to do that with you guys today. I'm going to leave it at the Lions number 1. I'm going to go with Philly number 2, but when we beat the Ravens, though, they ain't coming off that number 1 list. So I'm going to give them this week to prove themselves, and then I'm going to come back at y'all. But go ahead, Bart.
All right, so I've got Philly 1, Detroit 2. I got Buffalo, I got Green Bay 3, Buffalo 4. And number 5, I've got Pittsburgh.
Oh, so Chiefs didn't even make the list because of the Panther game? Is that what you?
It's 4.
Okay, that's
I
fair.
haven't had. I will say this: the Chiefs haven't been on my list, guys, for the last 5 weeks.
Well, the team should be 2-8 right now.
Exactly. I mean, realistically,
we all see it.
No.
There's chinks in that armor. It's just they're getting these lucky wins when it comes down to it.
Well, yeah, when you got 17 guys on the field, what do you expect?
And here's the other thing is I want you guys to think about this before we take off, is if the Chiefs are winning by 1 score literal games, does that really make them a threat in the playoffs? If they're barely scraping by to win these, to beat these teams? And I mean, these are some teams like the Panthers. These are some teams that are like, these are not, I'm not talking about high caliber teams here. I'm not talking about they're playing against the Texans and playing against, the Bills or, whatever else teams are high caliber teams here. I mean, I'm talking about they got some low budget teams that they're actually scraping by, guys. I don't even have them in my Super Bowl pick because of that. I don't even think they'll make it to the Super Bowl on that note.
I think we're going to see the Bills and the Packers in the Super Bowl.
I got Bills in Philly, but be interesting.
Yeah,
it'd be cool.
So,
them coming to Philly, playing in that NFC Championship to go to the. I mean, I got. If Packers make it and they play against the Lions, I actually got the Packers beating them. I actually got the Packers beating them in regular season. The second time that they play them as well. So they make it in there at the 6 or 7 seed, beat whoever is right there. If they play against the Lions, and they go to Detroit. I have them beating them though.
Yeah, when you're playing inside a dome, it's easy.
Detroit is on a tear lately though, so we'll have to see.
They've been on a tear against garbage teams, bro. They struggled against the Colts this last week. And the Colts were in the red zone twice and kicked 2 field goals. If that was 14 points, it's a whole different ball game. And they scored the last points late.
Yeah, but they still know how to win though. And when they're at home,
Jared Goff. Do you remember Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions in one game? When there was too much pressure on him? When they got to the quarterback, he threw 5 interceptions in one game. Name another quarterback that has done that in the last 5 years. The closest one is Dak Prescott with 3.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, here, let's put it this way. Detroit's got the Bears, Packers, Bills, Bears, Niners, Vikings. Week 18, Week 18 to
Determines
be the
everything.
decision. It's going to determine everything. You literally can have 3 teams, 3
Fighting for
Yeah.
division.
from the finishing the NFC North at 13-3. There is a possibility of that happening. You imagine having
Possibly
3
see-
teams, 3 teams at
playoffs.
13-3. You imagine
teams
if that
in playoffs.
happens?
That has happened ever, so that'd be crazy.
No, here's the crazy thing. I'm going to say NFL needs to do something better, because if I see somebody out of the freaking NFC South or the NFC West make the damn playoffs with an under 500 record, I'm sorry, they just shouldn't even be in the damn playoffs. Whoever has to play them should get an extra bye week. You should be required to finish 500 to make the playoffs. I mean, hell, at least college football has that much respect. Hey, look, you have to have above a 500 winning percentage to make a bowl game. Then you make the same damn rule for freaking the NFL.
But
That's
we've
my
seen
personal opinion.
But here's the thing about the NFL. We've seen stranger things happen with a 500 team get hot at the end and go into playoffs and beat. And I mean, they don't make it all the way, but they beat some top tier teams and knock
No,
them out.
I'm not saying, hey, I'm saying if you cannot finish 500, so you have to finish 9-8. Worst case scenario. If you finish 8-9, nope.
But what if
Whoever's
you're
supposed
in
to
a
play them gets a
division?
bye week.
But what if you're in a division that is so stacked though, like your teams are stacked though, and you have other divisions that are not stacked? That's the key too. You got to put that in consideration. Like the NFC East for the longest time. If Dallas was at the caliber that they should be, you had Commanders playing at the way that they are, and you have Philly there, they all could have been fighting for division. It's the same thing. It's the same thing what's happening in the North right now.
So
it's the same thing happening in the North. And it's the same thing that's happening with the West. With one game apart. You could see 3 of those teams fighting for division, right? I mean, not with winning records, but I'm saying just fighting for division.
But that's what I'm saying. If you can't finish 9-8, you cannot finish 9-8. You should not be in the playoffs. I don't care. That's my personal opinion. Because right now, when it comes to the NFC East, you got a 3-0 team, a 2-2 team, 2-1, and 0-4. That's what Eagles, Commanders, Dallas. So you got a 3-0 team. You've had 4 games, 3 games, 4. It's 3-4, 3-4 when it comes to games played in division. Okay, Washington's 500 right now. They're 2-2. I mean, you can have a division record, winning a division record. But I'm sorry, if you don't finish 9-8 on the season, so that's 11 games. So you have 6 games against division opponents. That is 11 games left on the season.
Yeah.
So you can lose all 6 games in the division, but go 11-6. Still have a great season.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I'm sorry. You should not. If you don't have a winning record, you should make the playoffs. What was it? A couple years ago, the Rams made the playoffs at 8-9. I think last year it was Tampa or something like that. I mean, if you, like I said, I just think that's a joke. Have some type of stipulation where you have to finish above 500 to make the damn playoffs. I mean, high school football has it. You make the play. I don't agree with it, but guess what? In high school football, if you have a winning record in your division, in your league, or if you have a winning record in non-league, as long you can go 3-2 in non-league and 0-5. So you can be 3-7 and you make playoffs because it's one or the other. As long as you have a above 500 record in college football, you have to have an above 500 record to make a bowl game. The NFL needs to do something about it too.
Yeah.
Seahawks are interesting because they are the number 3 spot in the playoffs. So do they deserve? As of right now, no, in my personal opinion. At 6-5, yeah, because they're above 500. But like I said, if they go 8-9, no, I don't think so.
I think the question means, do they deserve the 3 spot though? Being 6-5, when you have a team like the
Oh,
when
would
you have a
love.
team like the Green Bay Packers that are 8-3.
Oh, I would love if they got rid of the freaking, just say screw it. Hey, look, we're taking the best teams. Whoever has the best record in football, in the conferences, that's who makes playoffs. I think that's how it really should be.
Yeah.
Because you can end up with, honestly, you can have a team to get knocked out that has, finishes 8, like I said, Green Bay can go 13-3. Minnesota can go 13-3. I mean, they'll make playoffs because they're going to end up taking the wild card.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they need to get rid of that whole, they need to figure out how to get rid of either put it back to basically like an East and a West, like they used to have back in the day. We don't need a North and a South and all that crap. But they were doing it because it helps with scheduling. That's why they did it.
Better games for the better.
Yeah. So, but they don't. If you're not above it, do I think they deserve the 3 spot? No, I think they need to get rid of that. There has to be some type of exception. That's my personal opinion. So, but hey, that's what we got tonight.
Yeah, real quick. I would like real quick. Dang it, I'm trying to pull something up real quick. This week, this week is Thanksgiving, you guys. And on the show, what I want to do is just give me one thing that you are thankful for, and we'll talk a little. Well, let me talk a little bit. We got some games on Thursday football for Thanksgiving. We got the Bears versus the Lions. We got the Giants versus the Cowboys, and we got the Dolphins versus the Packers. Don't forget that the Black Friday game is happening. The Raiders versus the Chiefs, and then we'll see what happens with the Eagles and the Ravens. And then Sunday night, guys, you guys got to tune in. You got the Niners versus the Bills, and then the Monday game that I think that should be flexed, right? I don't know if you guys agree. I mean, this game should be flexed, but it's the Broncos versus the Browns, and I think that the Eagles and the Vikings should have been there, but they're not. That's what it is. But it's Thanksgiving week. We love football. Hopefully, you guys are tuning in to football. There's a lot of football to be watched starting on Thursday. And I want to know, what's one thing you guys are thankful for before we head out? Starting with Dupree.
Family, man. I was thankful that I have most of my family here and everything else. And just getting things done with the family. Getting to see them again because you don't get a lot of time with them because of work and everything else going around. So it's family for me.
Yeah. What about you, Mark?
Health.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we have one right. We have raw content jumping in real quick. Very thankful for my family. Love the trio. Keep it up. Thank you so much, raw content. Thank you for jumping on. We are blessed, lucky, and fortunate for our fans, people that tune in. I'm thankful that you guys continue to come on here. We're able to bring this content to you. Bigger things are happening in the works. We're putting new things into what we're doing and adding new things to our stuff. We're going to have some giveaways and some stuff that we're thinking about in 25. It's going to be some fun stuff happening. We're so thankful for you guys. We wouldn't be doing this without you guys. But yeah, and I'm also thankful for family, thankful for God, thankful for another breath in my lungs, thankful for, thankful for the opportunities in business and, just a chance to make a difference each and every day. So on that note, thank you guys again. Appreciate you all. Mark, give us the send off.
Hey, so real quick, I want to make sure that so Elite Monster he actually says, he goes, I'm thankful for family and food. Amen, brother. That I'm thankful for food too. I got a great relationship with food.
We should have asked that question. Like, what's your favorite Thanksgiving food? Like, what's your favorite? We should have asked that question.
Man, hey,
maybe started the show.
Man, we got it, man. Forget it. We can sit there and finish the show. Hey, we got a couple. I got a couple minutes, so let's put it up there. Hey, what's your guys' Thanksgiving go to? Like, what do I gotta have on Thanksgiving Day? I mean, What about you, Mikey? What do you have to? What is guaranteed to be on your plate on Thanksgiving Day?
Man.
Like
It
just
could be
one
dinner
thing.
or
Like
dessert. It don't matter.
Doesn't all of it have to be up on there? Like, I mean, I love me some mac and cheese. Don't get me wrong. I love me some candy yams. I love me some, some real good turkey. Throw some ham with the pineapples and the cherries. I love me some like casseroles. But then biscuits, boy, they hit different.
Biscuits.
Them biscuits, boy. I think those are the ones I hit. But like, I'm gonna agree a little bit with raw content. I love me some pumpkin pie cheesecake. I don't know if you guys ever had that, or sweet potato pie, peach cobbler. The desserts go crazy.
yeah. What about you, Dupree? What you got? What's on like? What's guaranteed to be on your plate?
Guarantee you on my plate. I'm always a dessert person too. That's what I always get. So it's got to be sweet potato pie. It's got to be banana pudding. It's just like,
I forgot about the banana pudding, boy.
yes, banana pudding, peach cobbler. I ain't go over seconds and thirds when it comes to dessert, and I've always been a big sweet tooth when it comes to baked desserts. Just get out of the way from all of them.
Oh, we know, because when you came to the house, you came with the mini donuts from a place we never heard. So we know you got a sweet tooth.
Nah, yeah.
What about you, Mark? What about you, Mark? You ain't left out.
I'll tell you what, man. It for me, I don't know, man. Like, not to get all somber, it's kind of hard for me because even though I do have my girl's family, I don't. I'm an only child, so I don't really have a big family. All I got my mom. Everybody else in my family pretty much is gone, so we don't really do Thanksgiving a whole lot. But the one thing that they always make sure they have, and everyone laughs at me, and I'll call it what it is. Some people call it stuffing, but I call it dressing.
Dressing, yeah,
yeah. So people like to make their own their own spin on stuffing. It's like they stuff it in the turkey. They have all this stupid celery and all this other crap, and I could care less. Just give me some good old fashioned. Give me a big old box of stovetop stuffing. I'll eat the box by itself. I don't really care. I don't need nothing else. I hate turkey. Turkey's disgusting. I can't stand it.
Oh man, you haven't had.
I'm actually smoking. I'm actually slow smoking a ham to make some pulled ham sandwiches. Just like pulled pork. So I'm doing that with the ham instead. So, but yeah, no, I as long as I got my my box of stovetop stuffing, everyone else can have all that makeshift stuff. I don't care.
Hey, on the record, I'll say this right now: 2025 Friendsgiving. Let's do it. Friendsgiving.
Yeah, let's do it. And we'll find something.
Put it on the calendar. Put it on the calendar, Dupree. All of us put it on the calendar. Let's do a Friendsgiving, man. I think it's time for us to come together. It's time for the world to get together and create more unity. I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for everything, pouring in your Tuesday nights at 7:00 with us. And each of you guys, maybe we'll stream it. Maybe we'll stream it all together at a Friendsgiving or something. I don't know what we'll do. But yeah, man, you guys have a blessed Thanksgiving. Appreciate each and every one of you guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and tell your friends about us. Because TikTok right now is going high.
To 1,000. It's road to 1K, 2K. We need that support. We need that.
And I'm gonna say this. I want to toss this out there. Obviously, I hope everyone has a happy Thanksgiving. We know we were a little late on starting time. Also, and the one thing that I'll tell you, and I'm gonna be real with you guys. Yeah, when it comes to the guy right here and the guy right here, but it's mostly this guy. Yeah. We usually start 5-10 minutes late all the time.
All the time. I'm getting stuff together.
It's when we have such a chaotic life, it's like I got this going on.
So for you guys don't know, we got this company. It's actually a company that I own. We're coming out with a diamond collection. I'm a full-time entrepreneur, so it's not just a podcast that I do. I do a lot of stuff. So on top of that, with family and everything else that I got going on in my life, so I try to jump on here and get family situated, get my notes in, get everything that I can, and give you guys the best content we can. And sometimes I just can't get it on time. And so, with that being said, apologize again. We will try our best to, get on there on time. And if we don't, just be patient. 5-10 minutes, we'll be on.
Yeah, because we always got something, and I'm going to say this, and in this college football rankings came out, and I don't know what the
Hey, I
heck
see
these
you guys
guys
are
are
back to
thinking.
8.
Yeah, and then see, now they're going to put us at
So I
8
don't want to
now.
go
All of a
on a
sudden,
I don't want to
yeah,
go on a whole.
yeah, no, I'm in on that. I mean,
All
they
right.
trying to find a way to screw us, and all of a sudden now we got to play Georgia on the road. But yet, it's like, oh, come on. But no, hey, appreciate y'all. Y'all have a happy and blessed Thanksgiving. And don't forget, next week, 7:00, we will be on here. And just so you guys know, starting in January, we are going to be shifting to a Wednesday night in January. So I just want to toss that out there because we only have literally 4 shows left until Wednesday nights are going to be coming around at 7:00. So appreciate y'all. Like I said, for the next 4 weeks, we're here Tuesday.